What's up, guys? Cameron from the Battlefield here, with some Z-11 gameplay. Today I'm going to be talking about a couple different things involving consoles, the new patch, and some other things. So, the patch just came out for Battlefield 4, for I think all consoles as well as PC, for the server crashes. Now, from what I've seen, I have not had any problems, but I haven't played much on Operation Locker, which is the only map I had the issue on. Any other game I've been in, I've never had the issue, but I have had rubber banding. But I haven't not seen any problems since the update came out today, and I'm pretty happy about that. Or, sorry, the update came out 2 days ago, but I haven't seen any problems since then. So I think the update worked. So I'm really proud of DICE for actually updating and actually fixing these problems and listening to our voices, because in Battlefield 3, updates were a hassle, rarely came out, bugs never got fixed to this day. So I think this is promising for DICE as we progress through Battlefield 4. Alright, now I want to talk about my opinions on the Xbox One and PS4 in relation to Battlefield 4. So, as for graphics, they're pretty much exactly the same. You have 64 players per each game, just like PC, which we didn't have for Battlefield 3. It was only 24 players, which I started out playing Battlefield 3 on console, and as soon as I switched to PC, I noticed a huge difference. At first, I wasn't too happy about it because I wasn't good with a keyboard and mouse, but now, whole different story. I can really never go back to console, but maybe that'll change for Xbox One and PS4. Now, as to which one I might get, I have no clue. A lot of my friends are getting PlayStations, but I really want to stick with Xbox. But there is one difference from what I've heard, or actually from what I know, from the consoles to PC, and that's that console's at 900p rather than 1080p, which isn't a huge difference, but I play on a 130-inch screen on my Xbox, and I do notice it being played in 720p rather than my computer being at 1080p. So I'm not sure if I'd completely switch. I still think it's so much better with a keyboard and mouse. We have more control, the XY axis on a controller with the two joysticks. It's not right. It doesn't feel right, except for vehicles. But I think PC's still the way to go. Now, consoles, of course, are cheaper for most of the time, because to run Battlefield, you need a semi-expensive PC. So, consoles, if you don't want to spend the money, are definitely going to be the way to go for Battlefield 4. Now, one of the features I really like in Battlefield 4, rather than, or that wasn't really prevalent in Battlefield 3, was boats and naval combat. Now, DICE was going crazy on forums and everything before the game came out, just asking people what they thought about naval combat. Are they excited for it? And most of the time, they said, yeah, it'll be cool, but they weren't, freaking out about it like DICE was. And now I know why. From the little time I've had playing Battlefield, it's been about a little over a week, naval combat has been huge on maps that support it. Parasail Storm is absolutely amazing. Whenever I'm in an attack boat, I dominate, which some people are arguing that this naval combat, it shouldn't be there, and that it's overpowered at the moment, which some say it could be, but when you have attack boats on one team, there's going to be attack boats on the other team, and therefore it's balanced out. And attack boats are not that strong. You can take them out with rocket launchers, you can take them out with tanks for sure, and I say that they're a huge element in the game. Now, DICE might patch it and, nerf it like they do a lot of things in Battlefield 3, but I'm really hoping that they keep what it's doing, and I think it's at the perfect level right now. I really don't think it should be increased or decreased, and I think they really put a lot of playtime before the game started to make sure all these things actually made sense. In Battlefield 3, there's some stuff in there that I don't know how it just ran by them, and just they didn't think about it, because M16A3, it's a great weapon, but it's a little too good, and I'm surprised it didn't balance out like assault and support, because assault's a little OP, support's just not over, or it doesn't have any power really at all, which is, I wouldn't say the same thing in Battlefield 4. They really did a good job with having carbines and DMRs available for any class, and now I'm playing almost all the classes all the time. It's not just assault like it was in Battlefield 3 or recon. I'm really glad that they really made some adjustments to the recon. You have C4, you can have carbines, you've always been able to have shotguns, but now you have a more wide range of weapons that you can use and not feel so disconnected like you did feel in Battlefield 3. Support as well, same deal. Ammo is still a problem. There still aren't enough support players, even with this change, but that really depends on the map. Operation Locker, there's plenty of supports, but on bigger maps, it's just, I still don't think there's enough incentive, especially now that the fact that Recon has C4 rather than just support, and support most of the time while I would play it, it's not because of LMGs, it's because of C4 and the ability to just go up to armor and just destroy it. Now, the second Assault DLC is something I'm looking forward to, because I want to see if they've revamped the maps the way that I'm hoping they are. Like Metro, that was a great map, but it was a disaster. And I thought that Operation Locker was the replacement for Metro, being that it had that same close quarters infantry combat, but you also had flanks, which is why I love Operation Locker. It's Metro with flanks. But then I thought, or I remembered that there's the second Assault DLC, and Metro's part of that. So I'm wondering if Metro's just going to be the same map with just better graphics, and if it is, it's going to be a disaster, and I'll be really disappointed in DICE for not adding something like flanks, because flanks, as long as you add explosives, you were overpowered in that game. You couldn't do anything. It would have just been a standstill. So I'm really hoping that they add that, and I'll be really disappointed if they don't, so fingers crossed. I've been really excited about the Nvidia 780 Ti. I talked about the 780 in my previous video, but it really didn't have much of a difference between my 680, or actually a SLI. This Ti, the 780 Ti, if you look at the stats by itself, it's already better than the Titan, not overclocked at all, just out of the box. And you have the option for triple SLI, which would be something I'd be interested in, considering how intense Battlefield is. I want to get them, but I'm not sure if it's necessary yet. By the time Battlefield 5 comes out, I'm assuming that it's going to be so intense the run that I'm going to need to upgrade, and for now, I think I'm good. I get an average about 60, 70 frames per second, sometimes lower, especially when I'm recording, but for now, I'm getting over 60 frames per second, which is all I can really ask for. Battlefield 3, I had the ridiculous 170 frames per second. But especially on the naval combat, the water rendering is intensive, but it's not, I don't know how they did it, but they didn't make it so intensive that you couldn't get a decent frame rate out of it. So I'm really proud of DICE for making this game playable, as I, in the beta, didn't think it was going to be. There were a lot of issues in the beta, frame rate rise for me. I was getting 50, but every once in a while it would just completely lagged out. But I think I know what the problem was, and that my drivers were not completely updated, which just came out when Battlefield 4 came out, so as soon as I installed those, everything was great. Alright, that's about it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, rate, or subscribe. Please leave a comment if you want to see something specific in our next video. So yeah, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the gameplay.
I've eyes on the vehicle south of your location. Hostile UAV on station. Objective Charlie has been lost. Okay, I found a hostile lab